now like to ask NASCAR Chairman and CEO Brian France to announce the new inductees to the 2012 NASCAR Hall of Fame.
He won 84 races and 3 championships. Let's welcome Darrell Waltrip to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
There's a town in Kentucky where the river flows. You'll never meet a stranger, they make you feel at home. There's something in the water and music in the air. And when I close my eyes, sometimes it's almost like I'm there. It's almost like I'm there. I'm going home to Kentucky. That unbridled spirit is tugging at my soul. I'm going home to Kentucky.
I'm Bill Engvall, your host for Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew.
We got some beautiful cornfields and farmland around here. It's still pretty up in this part of the country, Kentucky.
Owensboro is a small town in western Kentucky nestled on the banks of the Ohio River. It's bluegrass and barbecue country, a community where the daily pace lets people get to know their neighbor, a place Darrell Waltrip calls home.
This is Main Street, baby, right here. This is where it all happened. This is where S.S. Kresge's used to be down on the corner down there. The Western Auto Store was right over there. Here's the courthouse. It's down here where some of my buddy Mike lives, and a bunch of my buddies all worked at the courthouse. They kind of kept me out of trouble if I needed something. I had connections. I was king of this town at one time. Down there is the Ohio River. We'd go to the river because it was free recreation. We didn't have dollars to spend on recreation. We went to a drive-in movie. That was a big family outing. So that was kind of like one of the big deals on a weekend, was to go to the drive-in movie. And then Wendell's Wonder Whip. They had the Wonder Burger. That was a big deal when we had enough money that we could go to Wendell's Wonder Whip and get a Wonder Burger on a Friday or Saturday night. We're on the west side of Owensboro right now. This is called the West End. This is kind of my end of town. I was a West End hoodlum. Stevie, she lived on the south side of town. She lived on the rich side of town. I lived on the poor side of town. She didn't like me to say that. This is kind of blue-collar country here. This is where all the working people lived. And I think Mom and Dad bought the house over here on Greenbrier. I believe they paid $8,000 for it, if I remember right. In that field over there was a place called the Crawdad Hoe, and that's where we used to go hang out and fish and wade in the mud. And my buddy Don Aldridge lived right there on the corner. Linda Norris, she was a friend of mine. She lived right there. This was my street. This was Greenbrier. This is where I raced. This is where I run my go-kart up and down the street. And this is where I got the nickname Wild Child. My dad was a carpenter, and he liked to build things. That little garage back there, that's where we built our race cars and kept our go-karts first. And then later on, that's where we built the number 6 Wild Child car, a little 32 Chevy we had. And Mom didn't think much of it. She wasn't real crazy, particularly when we'd bring the go-kart engine into the kitchen, and we'd work on it, wash the parts off with gasoline or kerosene or whatever in her kitchen sink, and then build the engine on the kitchen table. Mom didn't think that was she didn't think that was very cool.
Racing was big at the Waltrip house for sure. You know, I was born, Darrell was 16. They handed him a driver's license, and he was off to the races. So ever since I've been on this earth, that's all I've known. That's what my family's pursued and interest. Every off weekend we had, we would chase off and watch my brother race.
Davis County High School, DCHS, home of the Panthers. I love this school. I didn't like going here, but I like the school. I didn't like going to school. As Coach Boone said in Remember the Titans, this was my sanctuary. This was where I made a name for myself. I love to run track. I wish I could run right now, but I was undefeated all the way up to my junior year in track. Never lost a race in Owensboro. I was just a natural. Running track helped me with my racing. I learned to conserve a little bit of energy for the finish. This is Don Moore Chevrolet. This is where I worked. This was like one of my first real jobs, working for Don Moore. Great guy, took really good care of me. And I don't know why. I guess he liked me and gave me a job, gave me a car to drive, and I turned it over in Stevie's front yard. But nonetheless, he never held that against me. Used to be a little IGA grocery store, and that's where my mom worked. She was a cashier there. Mom and Dad both worked, and they expected us kids to work. If you wanted to buy a go-kart or build a race car or race cars, well, you're going to have to get out there and work for it. There wasn't nobody going to give it to you. And those are good life lessons. I've used them many, many times. This is where Daddy started off with the Pepsi plant here in town. Daddy became the manager. Anywhere you went around Owensboro, everybody knew who Leroy was. I haven't been over here in years, but I bet you there's somebody in here that remembers Leroy. What do you want to say? What do you want to bet? Let's go see. That guy right there remembers Dad, I know. Hey, get out of the way, man.
We got after all these years, wouldn't you?
What are you doing, Terry? How are you, brother?
How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you, man.
Good, glad
I
to see
can't
you.
believe you're
Hey.
still here. I'm home now. Everybody's pretty much gone. I have to ride all over town to see if I see anybody I remember or remembers me. But
Congratulations, too.
ooh,
And they were on the front page here in Owensboro today, so
perfect,
yeah, so
perfect.
Every Monday morning, Mr. Waltrip would meet everybody coming in the door. How'd Darrell do yesterday? He'd have to tell them the story about 10 times before we got out of there.
At least.
My favorite, after he passed away, it was the hardest thing for me to do. Every Sunday night, if he didn't go with me, I had to call him and give him, tell him what happened. And so after he passed away, it was the hardest thing for me to do is come home and not pick up that phone and call him to tell him what happened that day.
I can imagine.
And of course, back in these days, it went really good, and then there was a time when it didn't go so good.
Yeah.
And I'd call home, and he'd say, "Son, what the hell happened?"
That's it.
Now, Dairy Drive-In was going to be right up here on the left, and we would come out here, and that's where you go after school. You just made a circuit. You'd go through, drive by, wave, see everybody, be cool, laid over, and hey, dude, how you doing? Hey, buddy, blow the horn toot. Check out who's there, what girls, what boys, and what was going on. And you'd stroll through there, and I'd have, you wanted to have a cool car. I had a 53 Ford, and it had a hand choke. And so I'd pull that choke out a little bit and it'd make the car chug. Cha-choom, cha-choom, cha-choom.
One day, Darrell stood on the brakes at the Dairy Drive-In, instead of cruising the main drag. An Owensboro girl named Stevie Rader had caught his eye and captured his heart.
I had a fast car, 375 horsepower, 4-speed.
But anyway, I couldn't have cared less about that. I liked his blue eyes.
I liked her red hair, and she was cute. And we kind of became attached after a while.
We were friends.
I liked her a lot better than she liked me, I think. I was racing on the little dirt tracks there in Owensboro.
He was racing on the dirt tracks and down Main Street and Owensboro, and he had a bad reputation, and he did a lot of really dumb things.
Yeah,
and
nobody got hurt. Maybe only me.
He asked me out in November, and we got married in August.
Yeah.
Much to my parents' chagrin, so.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like Stevie's folks and the wild child were always on a collision course.
It was about 10 after 7. I was supposed to pick her up at 7. So I jump in my car, and I had my 69 Chevelle SS 396, 375 horsepower, chambered exhaust, and I was probably, I shouldn't say how fast I was running, but I was running Kyle Busch speed, okay? And a policeman, he came down that hill as I came flying by. Me and my brilliance is, I turn off my headlights. When he gets to this intersection, he will have no idea where I went. Looking back in my mirror to see if I lost him, and I did, I turned on my headlights, And when I turned on my headlights, I was headed up this dirt bank right here. My wife lives over here. When that car went up that dirt bank, it went up in the air, came down on its roof, and landed in her front yard, right here. Stevie was waiting for me. She heard me coming. Her sister went to the door to look out to see what all the commotion was, and she saw it was my car turned upside down in their front yard. She grabs Stevie and says, "Don't say anything to Dad," because her dad wasn't real fond of me anyway. "Don't say anything to Dad, but I think DW has turned his car over in our front yard." Still got married. 35 Stone Creek.
You're watching Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew. I'm Bill Engvall, and you're watching Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew.
You come home, you run into people you haven't seen in a long time. They remember things that you did or things that happened that I totally forgot about. Stevie and I, after yesterday, get inducted into the Hall of Fame and thinking about riding up here, how we used to ride up and down the highway from here to Nashville so I could race on a Saturday night. For food, pay for gas so we could get back home and go to Whitesville and try to win a feature so we could get enough money so we could go to Nashville and take that next step, and how just unbelievably blessed we have been, because God gave me a talent. I didn't develop this talent. I had it. I knew I had it from day one. I knew when I sat down, I felt it in my butt. And that's how you drove. I mean, you drive by the seat of your pants. And I didn't know why. I'm not a brave guy. I was scared to go skiing, afraid I'll get hurt. But it doesn't bother me a bit to drive a race car at 200 miles an hour, knowing I might hit that wall and it might kill me. But I never ever even thought about that. It didn't ever enter my mind, because that just was what I was. It's what I was given, the God-given talent I was given. Fortunately, I got a chance to use it. Come on, honey, let's go in here and check out this place. Oh, look! All right, nice sign. Goodness gracious.
Hi, Stevie. I'm Dolores Raines.
Hi, Dolores.
Nice
Hi,
to
Dolores. How are you?
You don't remember me, do you?
Oh, boy. Yeah, it always makes me nervous.
I brought this just in case. We went to the Davis County prom together in 1965.
You're kidding.
No.
Look at that. That's me. That's me, and that's you.
Look how young and cute you are.
And that's Mel Heiser.
Both
Yeah.
of you.
And who's that girl with him?
Jeannie Maddox.
I always tell Steve, I said, I know I went to both county high and senior high's prom in 1965, but I swear I don't remember who I went with.
You need to go check out our Hall of Fame.
Oh, look, honey.
Hall of Fame.
A Hall of Fame. I think, let me see what this says. See, I got into this Hall of Fame before I got into NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool. Nicky Hayden, he does motorcycles.
I didn't know we had so many Hall of Famers.
Yeah, there's people. Johnny Depp, you know Johnny Depp's from here. Merle
I
Travis.
knew Johnny Depp's dad.
Yeah. Oh, you knew his dad?
Yes, we used to play together.
Oh, well, cool. Nick Warner, that's who I was thinking of, the pool player. Nick was like one of the best pool players in the country. Rex Chapman, you remember him? Wayne right there. Wayne's Rex's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey. This is Pedley's garage, and Harry Pedley was a really, really good friend of our family's. And when I got into racing and I needed a job, Harry had a race car. He had number 100, which I eventually got to drive. But Harry had this shop here. He hired me, and I came down here, and I worked a couple of summers with him. Plus, he helped me build some engines for my race cars, helped me take care of my race cars, let me keep my car here some. And Harry was just the sweetest guy in the world.
Owensboro proclaims it's the barbecue capital of the world, and the Moonlight is the most famous rib joint in town. There's nothing like that hickory smoke and catching up with the local folk at the Moonlight for DW. He's home.
Welcome
Good
Welcome.
to see you. Thank
Good
you.
to see
Good
you.
to be here. Hello, everybody. So what's up here? How are you? Good to see you.
Pictures.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I think we have that one.
I guess we're going to have some lunch.
Yeah, Bob.
Darrell, congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yesterday was a good day.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. It was a great day. Feel like I'm at home, you know?
Yeah, that's good, brother.
Good to see all y'all.
See you.
That's you all the time.
I know, I do too. I miss all my old friends.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get to reminisce enough. I can't believe you're still working there.
I had open heart surgery last year.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm back strong as ever.
Where you living?
Sargo, same place.
Same place? Same house?
Same house.
Son of a gun. I always loved coming home. Don, I was working down there, you know, and I wanted to go to Maryville, Tennessee and run a race. I don't have a truck.
I remember.
All I got is
I know what you did to his car.
all I got is that Chevelle from a dealership. I put a trailer hitch on this thing. And
To pull a race car.
yeah, I got that. I hooked that race car in that trailer, that '69 Chevelle. That thing was sticking straight up in there. I mean, I hardly had any weight on the front tires. Yeah, and I'm going down the street, and I passed him. And I just kept on driving. I know
He's going far.
I know he didn't know that was his car, or he would have come back and got me. I'm pretty sure of that.
Y'all probably don't want no ribs since they're so messy, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll put them down here anyway.
Oh, ribs. Woo.
I have memories when I was a kid. We'd been to Salem racing.
Yeah.
Darrell was driving Harry's Eldorado back, and Neil Diamond was on the radio singing "Sweet Caroline." I never forget you sitting there singing it right along, and I'll never forget that.
That's where I was going.
Every time I hear that song, I think of Darrell.
All that's because of Darrell. I know he was instrumental in getting that race. This time around, my three sons were going to go there.
They're so excited.
I think they finally gave him a race to get me off, just so I leave him alone.
There wouldn't be a race up there if it hadn't been what you've done.
I'm going to be there, and I'll do something.
I'll do something.
Mr. Don, thank you. Thank you for everything you did for me back in the day.
Yeah, some of it I didn't
Saved
even know it. Hey, some of it I didn't even know.
No, I know. Yeah, well, it's probably better that way.
I know it,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah.
I know.
Love y'all. If you need anything down this way, holler. If I can do it, I'll do it. I promise you.
I know you will.
Love you, love you.
Take care of those pretty girls and kids.
You made me cry.
How about you little guys? Want an autograph? Let me. Here, let me. Give me that. Give me that.
Give it to Mimi.
No, Mimi needs this. Get away from here. Get away. Those guys don't know who they just walked in front of, do they? I'll run over them. I used to own this town. Then a kid comes up to me and said, "Who is he?" You believe that? I have traveled 1 billion miles since I lived in Owensboro, since I saw Steve Case or Don Moore. Those are such distant memories, and to have them show up and they remember things that we did or things that happened, and God, it's amazing to me that it amazes me. It really does. I love it. Something. These people are getting on my nerves right here. Got to be something going on.
A lot of people in town that were following Darrell and watching Darrell. He woke up the town. He got a track running in town because of what he was doing, and that was really important to me and all the kids that were 16, 17 years old and wanted to try out racing.
So, hey, buddy. I feel like I ought to have a race car behind me. I remember going out this road so many Sunday afternoons, going to Whitesville, and have butterflies in my stomach, thinking about racing and getting out on that racetrack, being nervous and wondering if I was going to be able to, if I was going to be competitive, if I was going to win. And that little house has been here ever since this track was, I guess, has been. And the fans are in the stands, and cars are all parked out in the parking lot. Everybody had a home track. Everybody had a place that they started. Little racetracks teach you car control, throttle control, finesse. I came off this corner right here one night, and my steering linkage broke. This was open down the back here. And I went out, and when it did, it shot straight out, and I went upside down. And you can see a couple of big old trees out there, and I ended up hanging upside down in the 2 trees. I just bought a brand new pair of hush puppies. That's what I drove in, was hush puppies. And I looked down, and one of them was gone. It knocked it off my foot. So here I hang upside down in this stupid race car. My change is all in the roof, and I can't reach it. And I've just lost one of my brand new hush puppies. The worst wreck of my life. I could not believe what had just happened. I come back over here, a crowd of all of 1,500 people probably, were cheering that I was okay. And another guy had a car that had never won a race up here, and he said, "You need to get in this car and drive it tonight." I said, "Man, this crap can ain't never won a race. What do I want to do that for?" I got in that guy's car, started dead last, and won the feature. And it was like a great ending to a really bad beginning.
Hope it don't go out in the dang tree again.
You're watching Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero, brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew.
People always say, "Well, so why did you leave Owensboro?" Because I had to. They didn't give me any option.
Dreams fueled Darrell's move from Owensboro. He stepped onto a bigger stage in Nashville. Then, talent and tenacity carried him all the way to NASCAR's Cup division.
Darrell Waltrip, one of the youngsters, one of the bright newcomers to automobile racing. If Waltrip could lead this race for a while, it surely would give him a great boost in his confidence. He has to be patient. He has to discipline himself, and that is one of the tough things to do. You're in traffic again. Waltrip going down low. He's got him.
That took some real nerve to do that, and he's moved ahead.
So it's car number 17, Darrell Waltrip leading.
DW's career path soared midway through the 1975 season when he signed with the Dygard team. The green and white number 88 Gatorade Chevrolet won 25 races from 1976 to 1980 and was in championship contention. DW's unfettered driving style and unfiltered mouth rubbed some of his rivals the wrong way, especially superstar Cale Yarborough, who won 3 straight titles from 1976 to 1978 with Junior Johnson. But opportunity sometimes knocks in strange places, and another big break was about to come for DW. From Cale.
Cale Yarborough came to me and said he was going to lead juniors. Nobody knew it. He said, "I haven't told a soul, and don't you tell anybody, but I'm going to give you the best advice anybody's ever given you. Junior wants you to drive his car, and you need to go talk to him."
You know, Junior Johnson had his own prominence in the sport, and they were looking for a sponsor. I called Bill France, and I said, we are thinking about going into NASCAR with a Mountain Dew car. Do you have any suggestions for us? He said, yeah. Darrell Waltrip was one of the 2 drivers that he mentioned. The other one was Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Me personally, I was leaning more toward Dale Sr., but Junior told us real quick that he felt like that, Dale still had a few more years of tearing up cars, and he wasn't ready. And Junior was a businessman. I mean, let's just face it. He knew, and he recognized talent. He knew when to grab it.
Obviously, Dale Sr. went on to great things, and he was very successful with the sponsors that he had, but we had our guy, and our guy was Darrell Waltrip.
Well, Darrell wasn't no question he was going to be a great race driver. But everybody that I had on the team didn't like Darrell because sometimes he'd beat us.
Honestly, it was more like, oh, dear God, please, not Darrell Waltrip. Because Darrell was one of our biggest rivals.
You know, we snookered them at Darlington, but we didn't snooker them today. We just outrun them.
He had a lot of opinions, but that was just Darrell. But, you know, I can get along with the devil himself as long as he does his job.
When I lost Cale, you know, I knew that he was the next up-comer.
In 1981, Junior Johnson hired Darrell to drive his Buick. It was a perfect match. DW broke the NASCAR mold. So did his new ride.
I'll never forget the look on Junior Johnson's face when I brought him the graphics for the design of the car. I thought he was going to absolutely pass out. Green was not a very popular color at NASCAR, but we wanted to be noticed, so we did things that we thought were pushing the envelope.
There's limits to what you'll do for a friend, but there are no limits to what you'll do for a sponsor. And that's the way Junior was. With the Mountain Dew money and the green car, he bought into that right away.
The rest of NASCAR was about to become green with envy at the new super team, even if the Dew crew didn't buy into the new color at first.
Well, the green color did excite a lot of people, and not favorably. When I brought the uniforms down, we had them sent down, and I opened the boxes, I saw this hush come over the room.
I don't know what genius figured this out, but they come up with these green coveralls. They were terrible.
And I said, look, I'll tell you once, and we won't talk about it ever again. The brand Mountain Dew colors are green, red, and white. We will not change the color of the logo, and you will wear green pants. Case closed.
We were kind of like unique at that time because there weren't a lot of teams that actually even had, you know, the fancy uniforms, you want to call it. But now we showed up in our Mountain Dew green pants with the red stripes and the Dew Crew shirts on. All of a sudden, we had a little more swagger, I think, because of it. I think it gave us an identity.
Fans everywhere connected with DW and the Dew Crew. That same energy didn't flow inside the garage. Trouble was bubbling up between the leaders of the team, the outspoken new driver, and their green hot rod.
It was kind of like a love-hate relationship in 1981. Even though we were having some success, we still hadn't really made that chemistry, you know, go together as smoothly as we needed to.
1981 was a model change year. All those cars came from 116 inches to 110 inches. The tread widths came from 66.5 inches down to 62 inches. So we were not only learning how to get along with each other, we were going through a completely different change that NASCAR had never seen before.
Brewer and I didn't like each other, and we didn't communicate well together. We had engine trouble, car didn't handle.
And Waltrip spins as he comes off the turn 4. Darrell Waltrip spinning to car number 11.
Brewer and I were about ready to kill each other. We couldn't talk. We couldn't even sit down and have dinner together without getting in an argument.
Junior finally came to us, and he had a little meeting of the minds. He was about ready to have all he could stand with the crew, all he could stand with Darrell complaining about the crew.
Junior grabbed me by the collar, and he grabbed Brewer by the collar, and he drug us up in the back of the hauler. He said, I want to tell you knuckleheads something. I'm tired of your BS. You get out there and you work together. Y'all fix that car. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're both going to be looking for a job.
And I think that's when we all understood that Junior's right, we're wrong, we need to figure this thing out. And things really started clicking.
Darrell Waltrip receives the checkered flag and first place. It's been the lucky weeks. Last week winning in Richmond and right here at Rockingham. Darrell Waltrip wins again, makes it 2 in a row. At the line, Darrell Waltrip wins by 12 points.
Once Brewer and I got on the same page and we realized Junior wasn't kidding, we were good together and we won together.
We had a driver that had a swagger to him. You know, he had an edge to him. He didn't mind ruffling a lot of feathers.
But it looked like kind of an easier day for you. That's the problem with me. I make it look too easy.
I would just remember how hard they were to beat and how every time you'd go to the racetrack, you expected to have to race them for the win.
Darrell Waltrip is just very, very strong. It's going to be awfully hard to beat Darrell today, I'm afraid.
I remember going to North Wilkesboro Speedway as a kid. It was only 45 minutes up the road, and watching Darrell win every time in that car.
The Dew Crew is in victory lane once again with Darrell Waltrip in the winner's circle.
Back then, we were 10 foot tall, bulletproof, and we wasn't scared of nothing or nobody.
As dominant as a year that we had, we still had Bobby Allison between us and that trophy.
When the checkered flag waves on the 1981 NASCAR season, one of these two men, Bobby Allison on my right and Darrell Waltrip on my left, will be the champion. It's been a furiously hard-fought season.
We went to North Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Charlotte, and Rockingham in the fall. We sat on 4 poles and won 4 races in a row.
He was the most determined person I ever seen in my life. He was determined he's going to win every race.
We came off with a brashness that I think really helped us, take it to our competition and eventually, helped lead us to a championship in '81.
DW started from the pole in the last race of the '81 season at Riverside. His eyes never strayed from the goal of a first Cup championship. The ultimate dream was just 3 hours of twists and turns from becoming reality.
Bobby Allison won the battle, but lost the war. Darrell Waltrip finished a comfortable 6th position to capture the 1981 championship.
You're watching Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew. I'm Bill Engvall, your host for Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew.
My grandfather was a deputy sheriff in Owensboro. Well, on a Sunday at the races, my grandfather would make extra money by working the traffic, directing traffic before and after races. Well, my grandmother would go to the racetrack and sit in the grandstand and watch the race, so she would take me to the races with her. The whole influence came from just going to racing with my grandmother and getting bitten by the racing bug when I was a little boy.
Boy who fell in love with racing at Grandma's side had grown up to become the main man of NASCAR. It's a long road from washing parts on Greenbrier Street in Owensboro to celebrating on Park Avenue.
As you can tell by the attire and the background, we're not at a racetrack this week. We're in the Big Apple, New York City, to cover the annual NASCAR Winston Cup Awards banquet at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel.
Just a great feeling of joy and pride and accomplishment. It's hard to relay to people what I am feeling because I don't think you don't get this opportunity very many times in life.
We just won the championship, had an unbelievable year. So we have this huge celebration. We're just happy as we can possibly be. Tim Brewer and Harold Elliott, they grabbed me and said, we need to talk to you. So we walk outside and said, look, it's been a great year. We've enjoyed working with you, but we're leaving. What? I mean, we just won the championship. We're the best. Think what we can do if we all stick together. We're going to go to work for MC Anderson. He's going to pay us a lot more money, and Junior won't pay us what he's willing to pay us, and we're going to leave.
I'm not going to say that was wrong, but at that point in time in my career, I'd been hitting it very, very hard for a long time. And Junior, he wasn't world-renowned for paying a lot of money. But when you got an opportunity to go to work for a multimillionaire like MC Anderson, plus half the workload to do it, it was really a no-brainer.
MC was a rich guy, but he didn't have a very good race team, but he wanted to have a great race team. And he was willing to spend the money. Well, I was crushed. We just bonded. We just kind of all got together, and I was happy as I'd ever been in my life. And I loved Junior, and I loved what we were doing, and the sponsor, and couldn't be any better. And they were going to leave.
Their fortune became my fortune because when everybody had left and the smoke had cleared, I saw an opportunity. So I walked in the office and I told Junior, I said, I really would like to have a shot at being your crew chief. And he looked at me and he said, okay.
We had some good people. We just had to get them organized.
Junior Johnson was still in charge, but DW was still driving the Mountain Dew Buick. But new crew chief Jeff Hammond had to find the right elements to keep the team's winning chemistry.
Darrell and I's relationship had been real rocky up to that point. But fortunately for me, I think he saw the sincerity and my commitment to him.
He knew that his success depended on me. I knew my success depended on him. And from that point on, we were on target.
Fortunately for us, we still had Darrell Waltrip driving for us, and he didn't lose a darn thing from 81 to 82.
Darrell Waltrip has just walked all over this field tonight.
Darrell Waltrip right now very much in command here.
It'll be Darrell Waltrip winning.
I just need to thank Junior and Jeff Hammond and all the boys that work so hard on this race car. I tell you right now, we got a super crew for 82.
I think he was probably more determined than ever to once again prove those guys wrong, because I think deep down inside he felt like they deserted him.
Checkered flag, and Darrell Waltrip will win.
Waltrip struts down the back stretch, showing his stuff.
Darrell Waltrip wins. What a streak that team is on.
I think we've got a psychological advantage on everybody. They know this is the car they got to beat.
82 turned out to be as good, if not better, than 81 was, because we did it when people said we couldn't.
We just kept staying in front, and lo and behold, we wound up winning the Dad Blame Championship.
It's unbelievable how they close out a season every year.
Darrell Waltrip clinches his second straight national driving title by winning the Winston Cup Championship.
You win a championship and maybe you never win another one, so that was luck. But you win them back to back. That's just a great organization.
Boston, come here, Junior. You're going to get a hug with you.
Hey. There's no doubt this title was even more special for the Dew crew. They matched their win total of 12 from 1981. But this wasn't about the numbers.
Kind of hard to really put into words, because at the beginning of the year, a lot of people say, well, I don't think they can put it together and get the job done. And I think that somewhere during this season, we proved a lot of people wrong.
To beat the doubters, the people who said we couldn't do it, that we weren't worthy of repeating 81's accomplishment, it was probably as satisfying a year that I've ever had in my entire racing career.
The reason I wear this ring, and I've worn it ever since I got it, in 81 they gave me a ring. It's like a little high school ring. It was a little bitty thing, had a diamond in the middle, and that's it. It's real rinky-dink looking. Well, Mr. France, being the kind of guy he was, he said, well, let me tell you something, hot shot. You win the championship again next year, you can pick the ring.
You got trophies, you got belt buckles, you got rings.
Got the ring.
The ring.
And ever since then, this is a ring that everybody gets, a ring just like this.
That would not be the last championship ring for this unbeatable trio. Junior, Darrell, and Jeff kept rolling, winning a third Cup title together in 1985. DW and Jeff moved to Hendrick Motorsports in 1987. There was one elusive brass ring left to grab. One victory that would secure a place among the legends forever.
Darrell Waltrip, he's drafting, trying to save every bit of fuel he possibly can.
After 17 years of effort, the Daytona 500 belongs to Darrell Waltrip.
Oh, I won the Daytona 500! I won the Daytona 500!
After earning that Daytona 500 victory with his signature style, Darrell had done it all behind the wheel in NASCAR. He said farewell as a Cup driver in 2000 after 29 years and 84 wins. He did not fade away, though. Instead, DW became one of the most visible ambassadors of the sport he loved, sharing his passion with people from all walks of life.
I told a lot of people I'll finish in the top 10. Now, that's a bold statement.
Well, it was fun, wasn't it?
And I'd love to hear you say boogity.
Oh, man, thanks.
You're watching Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero, brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew. I'm Bill Engvall, your host for Darrell Waltrip, a hometown hero, brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew.
It's a question that people ask me all the time. What would you have done if you hadn't become a race driver? What would you have done if things hadn't worked out? I just don't know. I never, ever allowed myself to think about that.
That's a fast car right there, Larry. It was fast. He sat on the pole last week. You push, and your front tires chatter, and then you spin out. And that's kind of what these guys are fighting. It's just not enough grip.
The man known in the 80s as Jaws talked his way into America's heart from the broadcast booth. He influenced everyone, including new generation drivers.
At Darlington, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got that Mountain Dew car.
Our own DW won a couple of championships in that thing. So it's an old school, new school thing happening here at Darlington.
Hey, Junebug, it's DW up in the tower, buddy. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, that car looks so great on the racetrack. How does she feel to you?
It's been great all weekend. Drive-wise, it's been pretty stable. Just been trying to take care of it.
Well, good luck. I know you got a lot on your mind. I'm pulling for you. Love that car, man. Bring her home.
Hi, buddy. I appreciate it.
Mountain Dew's brand aligns itself well with the NASCAR fan base and our sport. With that program, they made themselves just part of the sport, and it was just natural to expect to see that every time you went to the racetrack.
It wasn't just a race car. It was more than a race car. It was a culture that we created. We gave it a personality with Darrell. We gave it exposure through NASCAR. It is truly one of the most remarkable successes in marketing.
Darrell blazed a trail in NASCAR for drivers during the 1980s with the Dew Crew. He never stopped honing that skill, and it came in handy 2 decades later when he helped lead a team that built a speedway in his native Kentucky.
A man named Jerry Carroll, he wanted to build a track in Sparta, Kentucky. He gets up with me and he tells me what his plans are, and he said, will you help me? I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, I want you to be a consultant. You have a connection to NASCAR, and this could be a signature track for you. So I pitched in and helped lay out the track, the design of the track, the way the garages were, the grandstands, some of the facility. Really had a huge personal investment in the project.
What a gorgeous sunset here in Sparta, Kentucky. Probably one of, if not the nicest racetracks I have ever seen. I mean, they did a wonderful job here building this racetrack.
Got a truck race there.
Stock car Saturday night. We're racing in Kentucky.
We got a nationwide race there. Every time there's a race, I'd be on the phone texting Bill France. See that crowd? See all them people? 70,000 people. Standalone race. How many people do you think be in there for a cup race? It took us 11 years, and it took somebody else buying the track and moving a date there to get a date.
Cup race in Kentucky, that's another big deal for Darrell. He was instrumental, I think, in helping it finally get there. I get to race up there. I'm going to race a car that'll be painted up with a tribute to Darrell making the Hall of Fame. I get to participate in it, so I'm really looking forward to heading to Kentucky.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. will also pay tribute to DW at the first Kentucky Cup race, driving the colors of the Diet Mountain Dew.
Retro schemes are fun. I'm real nostalgic about the past and the history of the sport, so it's really neat to take something from the past and put it on what the modern car is today and see how it looks. We are going to a facility for the first time. The track's really wide, got different grooves through the corners and different ways around the racetrack, so it should be a lot of fun trying to search around and find where the speed's at. I always enjoy going to new places and trying out new racetracks.
Be so proud to see those Cup cars come off turn 4 and the green flag go in the air at my racetrack.
Owensboro and Kentucky Speedway are 160 miles apart. But you know what? It's close enough. DW will be home, connected to the people and the place he loves.
Yeah, baby. Growing up, you have a dream for racing, and I hope I never lose my passion for racing, but for life. I don't want to disappoint anybody. When they meet me, I want them to feel good about it. Back in the day, I was so committed that if anything went wrong, I went ballistic. It took a while to get over that. And so that's why when people meet me, I don't want them to know that guy. I want them to know this guy.